Alright, well, we're going to continue on trying to make this license plate. We started this a while back, and I'm just slowly trying to clean up the nodes and correct things that were not exactly designed the best. This was found online, and I combined some parts, so Arial just has to be on everything. And we have the Starbucks logo, two of my happy things, so I'm going to continue cleaning this up so we can make this into a vinyl sticker that will go on the license plate. Zooming in, what I'm going to do is clean up some of the edges. You can sort of see all the nodes that make up the lines. If I want to smooth this out, what I can do is I can highlight a number of nodes and delete them, and then I can grab the outside line and change it accordingly. Now, again, we don't need this many points to make a circle. You really only need 4 quadrants. You don't want to delete everything all at one time. You want to delete it in small batches. That way you don't lose any accuracy. This is not something that is all that exciting, but I don't know, believe it or not, I sort of find it calming. I can maneuver these around and improve the overall quality of this image, and in the process it's just peaceful doing it. It's not really all that difficult to do. Every once in a while when you do move stuff though, sometimes it takes a major jump. So as you're maneuvering it, work it around. Now the other thing is you can also control what the nodes actually do. So I'm going to find a spot where I can show you. I'll go on the K here. The K in general should be a nice straight line from this part right here up to the top. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the node I have and just slide it over a little bit. I'm going to move the line up, and basically to this point right here, I'm going to create a new node. Basically when you want to create a node, you can basically put a small little spot, and this will be our node. So again, I'm going to create a new node in that location. And what I want to do now is take out any other nodes between the two. And if I click on the line itself, I can also click on the convert to line, and magically this is now a perfectly straight line. So in this particular case, I can click on this line, and same thing, what I can do is just convert it to a straight line. So it does make things a little bit easier. I don't want to spend hours changing every single one of these particular pieces, because to tell you the truth, it's on a license plate, you're driving by at 60 miles an hour, 60 miles an hour, but you're driving by it at a reasonably quick pace. I don't think you're going to pick up that it's not a perfectly straight line between 2 points. But there are some places like this C, it does look a little strange. Again, that was 2 clicks, boom, it looks so much nicer. And again, you will also see that this arm, you don't want that turkey wobble underneath of Arial's arm. That just isn't, I don't know, good. So I'm going to take the point from here and a point from there. I'm going to get rid of these 2 nodes. And again, I'm just going to straighten this out a little bit. And you might say, well, Mr. Marshall, you straightened it out, but you got this hole here. Well, there's different levels. And again, the black is one level, and the green is another level. So I'm going to make the black match the green now. So you got to think about this in layers. So every time that I'm playing with a different layer, you have to adjust that particular layer. And now the black and the green match. Now the only thing is I don't like, the C should match right up against. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a node down here on my green, and I'm going to hit the plus sign. I'm going to drag that to the black, and I want to make it a cusp. Cusp allows it to be adjusted so that the line just goes in that direction. And I'm going to bring this down and bring this over. And now I've fixed that little white gap that was there. Now again, the arm itself has a situation. I don't need this piece here. and I'm going to slide this back. So as I said, this is not really that complicated to do. It is a little... and join the black and make this entirely one big black outline. So I can put the black down and then lay the green in. The white is going to be the white of the license plate. The sort of flesh color is going to be the color of whatever that is. And then we're going to have red, and what's yellow is actually going to be white. But that would be either cut out of the black, or it would be a small piece of vinyl that would go on top of the black as a second layer. So that's what I'm going to try to do right now. It might be a little challenging. We're going to see what happens. If I click on the black itself, I'm going to move it off to one side. I'm going to drag her over here. And you'll notice that most of the black came with it. All I want, to tell you the truth, is going to be the outline of the circle, the outline of the fingers, and the outline of this hand. Everything else is going to be taken away. So it sounds sort of complicated, but it really isn't. So what I'm going to do is basically, I don't want to touch anything in the outline, but what I can do is come in the middle here and just get rid of a whole shooting match. Boom. Ooh, yep, that's good. It's going to look a little for a little bit. But as again, I'm just trying to get rid of the entire interior of this design. I do want to keep the exterior, so I'm trying not to hit any of the nodes that are on the exterior perimeter of this particular graphic. Does give you an entirely different look than what it was. Correcting this before I put it back together again. Alright, so we went from something that was pretty simple to something that again is a little more simplistic. I'm going to slide this back and put it behind everything else. Now there's a few pieces of black that are in here yet. I want to take out the eye, the eyebrow, the nose. As long as there's like white underneath of it, we're good. I'm going to bring this, we're going to bring it back and drop it right back where it once was, or try to get it as close to where it once was. And you say, oh, Mr. Marshall, you lost all our hair. Well, no, I didn't lose the hair. That doesn't look too bad. It's just on a different layer. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to order, and what I want to do is I want to be in front of the license plate. So now it's just reordering the layers of everything. And if you look at it really carefully now everything is like smoothed up. Now you might say, well, it doesn't look very accurate. Well, I'm just going to move it around a little bit so I get that accuracy back that I lost. Oh, goodness gracious, that looks good. Now here's the thing I can do. I can take this yellow and I can delete it. Control Z. I can take it and remove it from the black so that, again, it is actually the white of the license plate that's going to show through. And I think that's probably the best. That would be one less cut of vinyl. And that would be the best answer. So again, I have my shaping box over here already there. We're going to use trim. So what I'm going to do is, I already clicked on trim. Her mouth is open, or her teeth are there. I'm going to hit trim, and I'm going to trim it from the black. Now if I click on this, there it is. We now have taken that out of the black. Now it does relayer everything, so I have to go back and readjust the layers, but everything else is good. So I'm going to hit trim, boom. I think I have everything that I need. I have all my graphics. I have everything else edited. What I want to do is move this onto its own particular file. If I actually unzoom, I have all the originals. This is where I started from. This is the original. And you can sort of see it wasn't as detailed. I added the color, give it a little bit more punch. Again, I was using these as references. I did play around with these earlier in the year, but again, I like what I had. So I'm going to window this. I'm going to Control-C, copy it. I'm going to open a new document and Control-V. And you can sort of see that we now have just Arial. And what I'm going to do is go up to File and Save As. And I'm going to save this. There we go, License. Now we're going to basically also export this so it can be opened up in the Vinyl Cut software. So I'm going to File and Export. And we're going to send this out as an AI file. And it's going to ask us what we want to send it as. And again, we want to go with version 8. And again, we're going to keep it as standard English and hit OK. And it is now finished. So I'm one step closer. When we come back, I'm going to be in the Vinyl Cut program, and that way you can sort of see how it actually was developed. All right, now that we have Arial design, and we're going to go ahead and bring it into Vinyl Master. What we need to do is we need to make sure that the Vinyl Master is actually connected to our Vinyl Cutter, and to do that, this screen is going to pop up. Now I have done this before. This is not my first time I've updated, so you can sort of see it says fully activated. I don't need to actually activate anything, so it'll be a little bit easier, but normally you'll have to activate the license to allow you to cut using this particular computer. Open a saved document, because we did save this before, and here we go. Alright, now when I brought this in, you'll notice that Arial does look a little interesting. She's a little more purple than what she was before, but this happens when you basically transfer from one program to another. It really doesn't matter what color she is. Our sizes are correct. If I window this up and down, it should be about 6 inches. We're at 5.978, which is fine. I'm going to go ahead and take a look, and I believe at the last time we looked at it, we were going to print or send a cut file, and we broke it down, and we had a black, which I have that vinyl. I have a red, which is fine. We have sort of a flesh tone, a purple, and a teal. The teal is going to be the green. So what we're going to do is we're going to end up cutting all these different parts. So it's going to be 6 different layers that I need to cut. So I'm going to choose a color to actually cut first, and I already have black in the machine right now. So what I'm going to do is load it up, and we'll go from there. So what I want to do is I want to click on just black. You'll see I get these parts, and I'm going to go ahead and hit send. Sort of looks like I don't know, an orange. And I'm going to go ahead and cut this page. And you can sort of see I need a piece that's 5.5 inches by about 7 inches. If I want to rotate it 90 degrees to use a little less material, I can click on the rotate, and you'll notice that it's 24 inches from this point to this point. So I'm going to slide this guy all the way over, and this will allow me to use the left side of the vinyl, and that way somebody else can use the right side of the vinyl. So I'm going to go ahead and hit cut tile, and it's going to go up to our cutter itself. Now again, if I hit proceed with cutting, it's going to start to cut. But right now we don't have that set up. So again, I'm going to make sure I have that set up first.
Alright, we have our vinyl cutter turned on. We have the vinyl itself. This happens to be black vinyl. It's 24 inches from right to left. We're going to slide this in the machine. And it's just like a printer or a poster printer. And when we slide it through, we need to have these little wheels that hold the vinyl down. They need to be underneath these little blue marks. So I'm going to slide one direction, slide one the other direction. And I now have it where I need to be. So I'm going to lock the vinyl cutter in, or the vinyl in. There's a little latch in the back. And choose the front edge, number one. And you'll see the machine goes from one side to the other and reads
now
the
that
sides of
the vinyl. The program ready to go, it's asking me to proceed with cut, and I'm going to go ahead and make this cut. So when I do so, I'm going to click, and basically the graphic is going to cut out on the vinyl cutter itself.
Now that it's cut, what we're going to do is again jog it forward by just hitting the arrow. And it does go reasonably slow. And what I want to do is just cut out the vinyl that we have made. Don't cut it all the way across, because somebody else can use this vinyl for their project. And I know it's a little bit difficult to see, but there is a graphic on here. If I just grab the corner, I can peel the outside perimeter off, and you can sort of see that we have fingers and we have the outside perimeter of our aerial started. Now, since the roll is finished, what we're going to do is we're going to take the roll out, slide out the vinyl roll itself, and I would normally put this on the vinyl rack, but we're going to put in a small segment of vinyl, and we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to make another cut. We need our two little wheels in place, and we need to have the vinyl covering that small little eye. So I'm going to slide my two wheels down, and you might say, well, why is the vinyl so small? Well, Ariel's hair on this is not very large. I'm going to go ahead and hit number one again, where it's going to read the front edge. And our vinyl will now be ready to cut.
Again, I can choose this red, I can choose the Ariel hair, which are very, very similar, and hopefully if we have the two correct, it'll look somewhat like it's supposed to. So we're going to cut this page, and I'm going to go ahead and hit yes, and we're off and running. Go ahead and cut this page next, and it'll take a couple seconds to load up. And again, I can choose to rotate. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. That way it basically looks a little bit better, and we'll use less material in this particular case. I'm going to go ahead and hit cut this towel, and we'll be off and running for the next cut.
Slide this out of the vinyl cutter itself, and using our scissors, we're going to cut just the vinyl that we had cut. I'm going to make sure I don't miss anything. I know it's really difficult to see. The lighting in here is really not very good, and you sure can't see it on the video. But again, the vinyl in itself is there.
I'm going to go ahead and cut this page, and
basically the same idea. I'm going to rotate at 90 degrees. And in this particular case, I'm going to be pulling this off a roll of vinyl. So I'm going to slide this over so that it's about 22.5 to 23 inches from the edge. And once I have that ready to go, I'm going to go ahead and hit cut tile. And I'm going to go ahead and Alright, one last color to go, and that's purple. So we're going to slide over, and this is also the smallest one. So we're going to go ahead and cut this page. Try to go ahead and cut this page. And you can sort of see we're only about 1.5 inches by 3/4 of an inch. So we're going to go ahead, and we have a big piece of scrap material that we're going to use for this. So we'll drop that in and make those cuts. What we're going to do is we're going to take and we're going to weed out the vinyl. We have our 5 colors, and the easiest way to do this is to use an X-Acto knife. Make sure you have a cutting mat on the table. That way we don't damage any of the painted surfaces. And what I'm going to do is just peel it back over top itself. And you just got to keep an eye that you don't miss any small pieces that should be included. Sometimes it's easy to have your file on the computer in front of you. In this particular case, I think I'm going to be okay without it. But again, you can sort of see that we are able to cut the bikini front, and we're just going to keep running through these until we have all the parts finished. I think we are good. I have one small piece that's missing right there. I might cut that by hand and put it in place myself. To add our transfer tape, this is what this is, to our vinyl so we can peel the vinyl off and put it onto our license plates in an organized fashion. Trying to peel off each individual piece would be very difficult to do. So I'm going to slide some of these to one side, and we're going to go ahead and do this. Now, one thing I didn't really show you, this little piece here has to be added in layer number 3, or more. So I'm just going to cut this out so I don't actually adhere it now. And this will go on as a separate layer. I'm just going to This tape is semi-sticky. So I have a piece that's big enough to cover up our initial sticker, and I'm going to cut it off with our X-Acto knife so it doesn't tear. And I'm going to do is lay this on our graphic in the middle, and we're going to use our squeegee. Now drop it down the middle, and basically stick it to the front of our vinyl. And once we have done that, I can flip this over, and you can sort of see I can peel, I should be able to peel, the vinyl off the back side. We're going to finish up putting on the transfer tape. going to go ahead and get this ready to go. All right, you can sort of see this is starting to come together. A little bit more to go. And unfortunately, our knife cut a little bit too deep in a couple areas. You can sort of see it cut through the paper. So the paper didn't necessarily come all the way off. So I'm going to take those off by hand. There is an order that this has to be done in. First off, I want to go ahead and use a little bit of cleaner. Set up. What the cleaner does is it cleans off the license plate blank. You have no idea who has touched this before you, and it might have been exposed to some greasy situations or some oily situations. So again, you want to make sure it's nice and clean prior to putting any vinyl on it, or not allow the vinyl to stick well. Alright, so that's taken care of. I'm going to get this out of my way. We're now going to use application fluid, and what this does is basically, again, it also cleans the surface. This is a little bit harder to come by than Windex is. This comes from a Stein shop, and what we're going to do is put a little bit onto the license plate itself, and I'm going to put some on the sticker side of our vinyl. Now you might sort of say, well, why are you putting application fluid onto the sticker itself? Well, the issue is, if I put this down and I was not right on the first attempt, I couldn't move it. It would stick, it would stay, and that would be it. In this particular case, I can set it down, I can move it around, and then if I don't like it, I can pick it up and move it, and I have no issues at all. So I'm going to try to slide it till I have an exact location. You'll notice that I'm very, very close to the holes that make, or that goes to your car. I know on the bottom I'm going to hit them. That's just the way it is. But I want to make sure I'm centered so that it doesn't look like I'm a drunk driver trying to make sure it all hits. And that looks pretty good. That looks pretty good. Now that I have it set, I'm going to take my squeegee, set her down, and I'm going to basically squeegee from the inside to the outside edge. Now this does take a little bit of time and also a little bit of practice. Normally you don't knock this down the first time perfect. Alright, now that I've let it soak for a little bit, I can grab a corner, and what I'm going to do is basically peel it backwards. And there will be some spots that might not want to release. In this particular case, I'm doing pretty good. There's a little part right there that wanted to pop up. And that same little triangle that we had problems with the cutting is now giving me problems here. Surprise, surprise. And in this particular case, I'm going to choose black as the next color that's going to go down, because on top of black, we're going to have the red and also that flesh tone, and then the bikini. So again, I have to have black. It has to be the next color that goes down. And again, same basic idea. I'm going to slide my license plate over. And you don't necessarily have to dry it off between layers because it's going to get wet again. I'm just going to flip this upside down, and same thing. Remove that vinyl. Vinyl's been replaced. A little coat in the back side. I'm going to reintroduce a little bit of our application fluid to this side also. That way, if the two go together side by side, it's not going to stick. And I'm going to go to an area that I know is perfect, like right along where the hands are, and got to slide this up a tiny bit right there. I don't necessarily know that where this line here is going to be all the way around. I know where the hands are. So I'm going to lay that down. And again, I'm good. A little bit of application fluid. And let it set. I would say usually at least 2 or 3 minutes between layers. That way it has a chance to actually reduce the tackiness of our transfer tape. Re-squeegee it down. Sometimes it just wants to not release. Over time, it actually does hold more. So again, don't necessarily rush it. All right, gonna let that sit for a bit and we'll come back. All right, this has been soaking for a little bit, so we're gonna peel this layer off. Ariel Sisters, all like the new addition to the Ariel collection.